Hi! In today's presentation I want to tell you about one book you probably never heard of. It's Little Golden America, Одноэтажная America, as we say in Russian, which can be literally translated as One-storied America by Ilya Ilf and Evgeny Petrov. Before we get straight into it, let me clear a few points, so bear with me. There is something I want to tell you guys about these writers. Ilf and Petrov are Russian Soviet authors who work on all of their famous novels together. It's quite unique, don't you agree? Writing something is a personal matter, and it's kinda rare to see how two people combine their ideas successfully. I did witness people writing articles for scientific magazines together, but I guess we can all agree that there are almost no cases when fiction is written by more than one person. At least I can't really name any successful piece of literature that was created in such collaboration. If you know a proper example for this, then please let me know. Also, I can truly relate to how Ilf and Petrov wrote their books, as I myself really enjoy cooperating with my twin brother when doing different stuff. As you may or may not noticed, previously I only talked about Russian writers who lived before the Soviet era, and out of this you can make a conclusion that I'm not a big fan of the Soviet literature, and you will be right in that. I believe that the Soviet literature was always a slave of the ideology, which fostered the bright hostility towards almost everything foreign. However, don't get me wrong, I never thought that the Soviet literature is completely hopeless and does not deserve to be explored. I plan on making more videos about the books of the famous Soviet writers in the future. Well, let's get back to the topic of this video. I have numbers of reasons to review Little Golden America. First, I really enjoyed reading it myself, so I think that you can also enjoy reading it, so I suggest it to you. Second, this book takes a significant place in the history of Soviet literature. And third, unlike other Soviet writers, Ilf and Petrov were at times brave enough to show things as they are, although camouflaging their intention with a healthy humor. Now, let me tell you a little bit of why and how Little Golden America was written. In 1935, Ilf and Petrov visited the United States of America. I had to tell you guys that it was not a common thing to do such voyages for the Soviet writers. Side note here, living in USSR was illegal for its citizens unless they have special permission. Also, for example, it was illegal for the Soviet citizens to marry a foreigner. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, I'm sorry if I pronounced this name wrong, who was the president of the United States by the time, did a lot to make Soviet-American relations better than they used to be. So, due to relatively good relations settled between two countries, Ilf and Petrov were welcomed in the United States, and their American adventure happened to be extremely productive. As reporters of one of the Soviet newspapers, Ilf and Petrov crossed the United States from the Atlantic to Pacific Ocean. Their major task was to depict mysterious and unknown America for the Soviet people through the journey, and build more or less true imagination of what it's like to live in this country. Ilf and Petrov didn't miss opportunities to get to know Americans from different walks of life closer during their trip. The Soviet writers traveled by car, which did not separate them from the American society and gave them unique opportunity to see many different people in different circumstances, behold their ordinary life and work. In total, Ilf and Petrov spent around 3 months in the States, and I have to say that the geography of the trip was wide. During 3 months, with the assistance of welcoming American people, they were able to hit many interesting places. So they visited New York, Chicago, Oklahoma, Las Vegas, San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, El Paso, San Antonio, New Orleans, and of course the capital of the United States, Washington DC. As you can imagine, in the course of the trip, Ilf and Petrov observed the variety of American traditions, from the rules of American football and wrestling, which, believe me, for the Soviet people were absolutely unknown activities, and I have to tell you, even today, I still can't get what these things are. To the electric chair mechanism. They presented the most beautiful landscapes of the States to the Russian audience. Once Ilf and Petrov got back to USSR, they collected all the trip notes and made a book out of them. So here's my book that I remember I got a few years ago. It was a Christmas present from my parents, so I have special memories attached to this book. Latest edition, Soviet editions of this book also included photos that Ilf and Petrov made during the trip. Unfortunately, my version has no pictures. If you made this far in the video, thank you for your patience, and I think it's a good time to make conclusion. I think that Little Golden America is a must read for anybody who is interested in American culture. It certainly gained a lot of popularity among the Soviet people who naturally wanted to enlarge their limited knowledge about the United States. More than that, I have to tell you that even today this book holds very well, and in Russia it has some kind of a cult status. I also believe that reading this book will be engaging for Americans themselves, as by doing it they get a unique opportunity to see a reflection of their society from the side, through the eyes of people with a completely different frame of mind. One of the best sides of Little Golden America lies in its truthfulness. I wouldn't be wrong if I say that the Soviet literature was very one-sided in reflecting real life. It concentrated on the flaws of capitalism, oftentimes exaggerating them, which makes the books of many Soviet writers almost unreadable today. From this side, Little Golden America is an exception. Ilf and Petrov almost completely evaded politics in the description of usual American life. Instead, they wrote about roads, dinners, small and large cities, Native Americans, Russian immigrants, American cinematography, etc. All of it mixed in one book truly represented the United States to the people of Soviet Russia. Made Americans look not as relentless ideological opponents, but the people with understandable needs and dreams. I cannot say that Little Golden America is 100% free of the Soviet ideology. There is a small tiny portion of propaganda hidden in the book, but nothing that can potentially destroy the reading experience. It's worth mentioning that Little Golden America is still relevant to modern readers, as the book covers the variety of traditions and values that are still the same in the United States even up to this day. And there you have it. This was my presentation of Little Golden America by Ilya Ilf and Evgeny Petrov. Thanks for watching.